So the talk for the day is how to avoid Chan sickness. In our Chan meditation practice. Today's day is Thursday, September 17, 2020. Here in New York, it's already getting cold in the morning. And now the room temperature here in this room is about 12, 13 degrees Celsius. It's supposed to be almost like we had retreat in Chan forest in Indonesia. It's quite cold. And so we talk about this, the so-called Chan sickness. Well, if you're sick, but you're practicing, and I'm sorry, if you're sick but you're not practicing, then it's not called the Chan sickness. But if you're practicing Chan, practicing meditation, then and this is called the Chan sickness, if you practice. Usually it is divided to certain categories. One is coming out from the so-called our body. The reason for having physically feeling sick through our body, there are quite a few reasons. The first reason being is that our mindset or our attitude is not correct. The second one is that for the use of the method, we are not clear. We don't understand how to approach the method. And then the third one is the regulation of food and drink are not really regulated. And then the fourth reason is that the active state and the moving state are also not regulated. And of course, we have some problems of the so-called within our body, the heart, the liver, the lung, the kidney. And of course, it's referring to the body, referring to the so-called the earth, the four elements, the earth, water, the fire, and the wind. The first thing is about incorrect attitude. For people who come to meditation, sometimes they have the idea of, I'm already aging, and my kidney, it's referring to a weak kidney, and I feel like a little bit helpless in the matter with my couple, with my companions. So I think that meditation could help to increase my sex power, right? So I come to learn about meditation. And also thinking that to meditate, maybe I will slow down my age. I will not get old so easily. Or even I could return to my youth, referring to my strength, right? So this kind of approach is, of course, we know that it's not really correct. Of course, in meditation, it's possible that we will live longer, and we could stay like the strength that we have, just like when we're young. It's possible. But because of that, because of this goal that I'm looking at, it's possible to lead me to some kind of sickness. So this is the first one. The attitude is not correct. And the second one is that for the use of the method, I'm not really clear about the method. Say, for example, if we don't know the approach in using the method of the breath, and it's possible that we heard about it, and it's possible that we just read some books, then I'll just sit down and practice. It's like driving, but with no direction where to go. I just do it with my willpower. I think that I'm still young, I'm still healthy. As long as I just push it, then I will be able to do it. And then it's more likely that child sickness will get sick. Whatever that is in the book, when we read, it's just the principles. And even there's a teacher that teaches you how to do it. But the method of how to use the method is just the principles. When we are really using the method, then we have to somehow figure it out. What exactly is appropriate for ourselves? Say, for example, when I use the breath, and I feel like my body become, I don't feel my body, but I feel like the frame or the structure of my body become steel. So I don't feel any flesh, and I don't feel the bones, but I feel like the structure of the body becomes metals. I don't know why. So it's possible when we do a method like this, we encounter something like that. And if we keep on using it, then we could be in trouble. So this is referring to so-called the unclear about the method that we're using. The third one is because of the improper way of eating and drinks, referring to food and drinks. Say, for example, there are people who believe that when they're hungry, then they are, the mind is clearer. So they will not eat so much, or they will let themselves hungry. But when we're hungry, we don't have any strength to really practice. Then it could cause troubles. And then when we have a longer retreat, say for example, 7-day retreat, there was a practitioner who didn't want to drink. And she said, because I have to go to the toilet often, so I might as well not drinking. But what happened is that because of the lack of water, and she felt like inside of her it's burning. The heat rise within herself. So they feel very hot. She feel very hot. And she came and asked, what should I do? Go get water, drink. Well, if I drink, then I have to go to the toilet. Then go to the toilet. So very normally, if we feel thirsty, well, we need to drink. That's it. And if we feel hungry, we have to eat. Then if you don't drink, and then when you feel very thirsty, you drink a lot, that could be a trouble too. And then if you're hungry, you don't eat, and then you just let yourself be like that. And when you feel you need to eat, then you eat a lot. Then you give your body troubles. So drink is necessary, but not over drinking water, referring to. Eating, we don't eat to full, 100% or even more than 100%. Somehow 80% is good enough. So this is the third thing about food and drink. And then the fourth thing is the moving condition, or the active and the inactive are not regulated. Oh, it's because there's some people who are lazy, so they don't want to move so much. And then there are people who are very much, you could say, greedy in the comfortable feeling of sitting meditation. So they want to sit and continue on sitting. That's possible. This person will be able to sit for a long time without moving. Because they don't feel pain. It's possible that, within their mind, they don't have that many wandering thoughts, and the chi movement is still smooth. But haven't got to a point where it's completely, the movements of the chi is very smooth completely. if they could do so that the chi movement is flowing very smoothly, then it's all right. But if it's not, then as long as here and there that is still stuck, and this person is still keep on sitting, then trouble could come. That is to say, if the entire body with the flow of the energy is very smooth, referring to any part of the body, the veins, and even the pore, the pore of the skin, they're very smooth. They like open up. That referring to the energy flow is very smooth. But for beginners or inexperienced meditators, there are many parts of the body that the energy is blocked. Say, for example, when we sit our buttocks, we sit on the cushion and sit for a while, then we feel, like if sit longer, then we feel pain with our buttock. And then when we cross our leg, then we press somewhere, and then press somewhere in the leg, then we feel pain, right? And then when we sit like this, sitting up, and then certain times that, like the internal organ is being pressed. So all of these referring to the flow of energy it's blocked. It's not really smooth, So if it is smooth, then you don't really feel that. That's all right. You could sit longer, but just for those people, but not for the majority. And of course, if you are able to do so, then you need to meditate almost every day. And the time of meditation is longer, not just half an hour like what we did just then. So what happened if, if we don't, if the flow of energy is not really smooth, completely smooth, then what we do is that we do exercise. And also, every time when we guide the meditation, finish the sitting, we do massage. So just make sure that all the good energy will spread evenly into the body. So ancient times, there's monks in the Shaolin temple. They will have some kind of exercise, you name it like kung fu, but they do exercise, and it's very much related somehow, related to the so-called practicing of yoga. So that is to say, the inactive and the active movements, somehow we need to bring it to a balanced state. So after or before meditation, we do exercise. And if we are in a longer retreat, then everyone that practice in the Chan hall, we have work assignment for them to do. Although work assignment did not refer to as really completely put yourself into exercise, but there's some kind of exercise that is also included in there. So the body that we have, the muscles, the skin, the nerve system, you know, any part of the body that we do not make it moves for a while, for a long time, then probably there will be trouble, referring to we will get sick because of that. Just like the using of the muscles. If we don't use for the muscle for a while, and then all of a sudden you use the muscle with a great effort, then you'll be in trouble, because it is not used to this kind of effort, and we are forcing it to use, then we're in trouble. It will get sick. Now, actually, recently I used a big scissors to cut some roots of the trees, but I haven't using it for a long time. You know, my arm for a long time, and while I was using it, all of a sudden, wow! After using in the time that I'm using it, I didn't feel it, but after I finished, then this arm here, I have trouble with this muscle here for a long time already. It's already a few months, 3 or 4 months. I still have problem with using my muscle here. So that's what happens to our body. Now, the modern time, the people in the modern time, especially those are working in the office, every day they will have air conditioning, and then they don't have opportunity to really go for exercise, and then you know, the sweat cannot really come out. So it's very easy for them to have the so-called high blood pressure, diabetes, all this, so the sickness of the modern time. So we exercise, then our body will perspire, and then, you know, it's like the time for the metabolism will work. Then we will be you know, like more healthy. And in the Chan practice, so we use the yoga exercise, we use the so-called walking meditation, and we also use the so-called fast walking, and sometimes we go outside for hiking also. So if we do that, then it's not so easy for us to get sick, because we move on to these principles. Now, there's a practice that possible that because of the so-called karmic obstructions, you know, from our previous life, then we will have sickness. And this kind of sickness here referring to the sickness coming from outside and the sickness coming from within ourselves. So what is it that is having trouble from outside? Referring to, well, we are the person where we are not really kind to people and demanding a lot to other people. And then we will not give some people the opportunity or a chance when they encounter trouble, that they have trouble with us. So because of not giving other people help. And that is to say, you don't build a good affinity with other people. You could say that, you know, like, you don't feel like I'm comfortable with people, and then you give in trouble to other people. So when we practice, then is the so-called the karmic obstruction will come to us, and it becomes the so-called the sickness of the karmic obstructions. One day, this person come to Sugong and telling him that, oh, my mind is so dirty, it's so dull, it's so, you know, like messy. What to do? And then Sugong said that, oh, well, you should keep your precept well and then practice samadhi. And he said, but I don't have any environment for me. And then I can't even keep the precept because my work is involved. I cannot really practice meditation. Is there any other methods? Why is it so that this person is like that? Well, it's because of his own karmic obstruction. And people, when they see the monastic practice, they are moved, and they are very, you could say that, appreciate or envy of it. And they were thinking that, if I encounter Buddhism 20 years earlier than before, then I probably, you know, would be like that. But why is it 20 years ago they never encountered the practice? This is their own karmic obstructions. And then another thing is that coming from inwardly, because of our bad karma. So if we don't practice, then nothing happens. But once we practice, then it's possible that we'll feel headache, we feel hurt in the back, we feel uneasy with the stomach, and then or we may feel like heat within our body that rise, and then our breathing is not even, is not like regulated. So if the person practicing the so-called fire samadhi, then the body will feel like they're burning the body. And then if they practice the water samadhi, then the body will swollen up. And then if they practice the contemplation on the impurity of the body, then the body will have lumps, and it will go bad, you know, and even to a point where they feel like they want to kill themselves. And then if they practice the breathing methods, then they feel like the chi is blocked, and then the feelings swelling on the head, and all this thing. Well, all these method actually is good method, but they couldn't get the gist of it. And then whatever they have, it's not a good result. Even though there are not any disturbances from people or disturbances from the issues of the other things, but somehow it's very difficult for them to really practice. So for people who have this karmic obstruction, the sickness coming from karmic obstruction, then what should they do? Well, they should practice the generosity, dana, and then read the sutra, Mahayana sutras. They should do more prostration of repentant prostrations, repents whatever that they have done in the past. And then they also practice the so-called contemplation on compassion, and they should give rise to the Bodhi mind and vow to deliver innumerable sentient beings. And then they do the best to do this thing to have benefit to other peoples. That is to say, they need to accumulate or build up more of their merits to have a good affinity with many people. Then gradually the body and the mind will be more settled, and then all these karmic obstructions will disappear. And then afterward, they could practice meditation smoothly when they practice. I knew of a person at that time in mainland China. It was just, open up reform in a sense, to have contact with the outside world. It's been closed for like 30 years or something. And there was a monk, he was still quite young, in his 30s, and he's very much into meditation. But at that time, he did not have any teacher to help him. So he just meditate. And somehow he meditate, and then something troubled him that he could not really continue with the practice of meditation. And to a point where he cannot really function, mentally. And coming a point that he realized that, his direction is not right. So what he did was that he temporarily put down meditation and then cultivate the so-called, helping out everything that's possible in the temple. Like to do all the hard labors, and then, build your temple, doing labor work. And, but another thing is that he also recite the great Dharani mantra every day and vow to deliver sentient beings. And then when we see him, he became like when we see him, we didn't know that he had this kind of, past experience before. He looked like very, you could say that very, respectable person, or almost like a head of the temple. And it's very nice to everyone. And then the story he related, what he did before. So that's one thing. And now he feel like his body and mind is more settled, and he could meditate. Another example is, it was a nun who attended the retreat with us. And then in one of the retreat, all of a sudden she went crazy. How crazy it is that she just jumped up. When she's sitting, she jumped up, and then she ran, and then she go to the kitchen, and then she used a big basket, and then to cover herself, and then she was like acting very weirdly. And somehow Sifu let her calm down. Sifu. And then she did not attend the retreat anymore, because it's almost like not like a normal person anymore. So what she did was that she give these vows of, I'll be serving people, I'll work in the kitchen. And she worked in the kitchen, you know, she diligently worked in the kitchen, and then doing her best in serving people. And then after a few years, she was able to attend the retreat, and the long retreat, there's no problem anymore. And she became very normal, and she became very gentle and helping people, very nice. So that's what happened. Referring to the so-called obstruction that we may encounter, it's very important that we get hold of the idea of the so-called impermanence, and we do not expect, say, in meditation, we will have supernatural power. We could hear something, we could see far away, things like that. It's possible that, you know, this could be developed, but this is not the main. This is not the main target or the main goal. The main goal of practice is to cut off our vexations, to find our own Buddha nature of, you know, emptiness, to realize emptiness. So everything, if everything is impermanent in that sense, then when we encounter all these things, we will use this principle of impermanence to help ourselves, right? So, and Nikki was suggesting some questions, and I did not cover in the talk, but I will read it out now. So, because some of the questions I already mentioned, now this one how if we already have chance sickness, but we are not aware of it? What to do in order for us to be able to find out ourselves? What indicators that we could use and enable us to check for ourselves? Well, if we cannot function normally, somehow our mind could not really function even in a daily life, then we should be aware of it, what happens. I'm getting into trouble, and then of course I cannot really meditate. This tells us that something is not right. If we could ask people, you know, someone that's more experienced, a teacher, they could help us. Even if the method that is you're not using right, say for example, you know, somebody using the breath method, and then he encounters certain, you know, like very weird image, and then they go and ask. Actually, it's because he did not know how to use it appropriately, right? He just sit down and then use the method of the breath right away. That's usually what happened to us. We almost like the same boat, that we just sit down and then just use the breath right away, but we do not even know that we should regulate our body first. Regulate the body, regulate the mind, and you know, settle, and then use the breath. Or else, you know, we're in trouble. So that's the thing. Another one is, what do we need to practice in order to avoid the chance sickness from the beginning of our chant practice? Well, the very important is the right attitude. And then the understanding of the teaching of the Buddha of the impermanent, the state of impermanence. So we are less attached to many things, even the attachments to the so-called good state of, blissful state. The mind is so free and nothing in the mind that bothers us, because everything is impermanent. We should not attach to it, right? So we could avoid, right, from the beginning. If we are still struggling with chance sickness, can we still continue to practice chance safely? Well, it depends on how serious we are. Yeah, some are not that serious. We could still continue, but aware of that. Okay, this is our problem right now, right? And how to resolve them. And then we could do it safely. Say, for example, if we do in such a way that we are using too much effort, and then we encounter, blockage, then we need to regulate ourselves, And then if we're doing it too much, too tense, then again we have to be, actually this practice here, the practice along the way will encounter problem anyway. But we need to know, okay, is that because I'm too lacking, or is that because I'm too energetic, or is that because I'm expecting too much? Because there are people who are idealism. They're always demanding on themselves, and then also demanding on the others. And then demanding on themselves, they will tense up without knowing it, right? So these things you need to check for yourself. And then if you adjust it, then you could still, practice. And of course, if we have chance sickness, then we cannot make progress. So this question is that how this chance sickness will affect the progress in our practice. Well, you don't have to talk about this chance sickness. If you're sick in a daily life, could you still function to work? There's certain things that we cannot do. That's for sure, right? Okay, question again. Do we need to stay away from those with chance sickness? How to deal with them? How can we help them? Well, it depends on how serious it is. If it is very serious, then the person cannot even function in the daily life. How could you be close to them? Either we chant for them to transfer merits to them, and then or help them a certain way of maybe he or she needs to find some more guidance. Okay, and give an example of this person who attend the retreat, and all of a sudden, he just went crazy in the sense that he will, he cannot follow the regulation of the retreat, and then somehow he had to leave. And then when he was at home, it happens that he can't even sleep at night. So what to do with this? Actually, he had some problem before coming to retreat, right? It's not just because of the meditation that causing him like this, but he had some problem before, and it's hidden, and it was not like now. It was not really obvious, but now in the retreat, possible that he was using method a little bit too intense or something, and causing this to come. So at home, he can't function, he can't sleep at night. So we need to help him if we want to. Maybe he need to go to see doctors. And this person, afterward, he seek help from Chinese medicine. And then, for a few months, he became, he came back to normal. So that's what happens. Same thing we can help. Okay, so another one, if we have chance sickness ourselves, is it possible to help others who also have chance sickness? Or do we need to be completely free from chance sickness ourselves before we can help others? It depends, how sick are we? If we cannot really function, then it can't help other people, because even ourselves, we cannot function normally. But, for certain sickness, it is not serious. So we still function in our daily life, but in the meditation, or in the meditation, we can't use our, say for example, I can't use our method. No matter what method we do, we have problem. So that doesn't referring to that we are not a normal person, but just referring to we have obstructions. So obstruction is that, okay, give rise to the bony mind, to help people more, and do our best to spread the Dharma, so that many people benefit from it. So, but still we could adjust ourselves gradually, one at a time. And then if our good karma helping us, after a few years, then we could, practice again. All right, so I finish my talk here.
Yes, full. Thank you. I've got questions from the audience.
Okay.
Just now, Sifu did mention about samurai.
What's
Someone
samurai?
was asking.
What's samurai?
Or maybe she, I think she should have listened wrongly. Okay, I go to the next question. If I keep practicing, is it possible to become weird?
What?
Become weird. I think some people say like 走火入魔这样吧. I think should be like that.
Oh, well, because today's title is chance sickness, so we talk a lot about chance sickness, so people will be scared. So don't be like scared by this, because learning about meditation, especially in our lineage, Dharma Drum Mountain, for the meditation class, we talk about all the requirements that one necessary to do, so that you avoid all these things, that you may encounter. So first of all is what to wear, what kind of weather that we, is suitable for us, and things like that. All the requirements we mentioned about it, right? So that's the thing. So we have this condition that is coming to us, we adjust to it, then we don't have problem. And then also, our attitude is that no matter what happens, we just go back to our method. Say, for example, in the meditation, we may envision something that is very joyful or something that is very frightening. So we lost our method. What we do is that just come back to our method, just ignore them, not to welcome them as well as not to be afraid of them. Just let them be. Well, I give an example of the Buddha when he was about to reach Buddhahood. The Mara would come and frighten him, either by, killing him, or by what? by, you know, alluring him with beautiful women dancing around. So what he did was that he did not stand up and then fight with them. That's very important. When the Buddha encountered this thing, he just continued on meditating, and then just knowing that these are all just temporary phenomena. And then because of his wisdom and samadhi power, all these things just gone afterward. So don't be afraid of it.
Okay, Shifu. Shifu just now have been mentioning all about physical chance sickness. How about the mental side of chance sickness? For example, the more someone practice, the more he thinks he knows so much that other people become less better than him. Can you please more elaborate or explain something like chance sickness in mental side?
Well, actually, if we meditate and then we easily, you know, get into a better state, and then that come where we feel like we are very proud. Now, this referring to the, you know, the mental side, that I'm the great, right? So, but he did not have this idea of everything is impermanence. We are just a very small, you know, dust, you know, a small dust around, you know, to comparison to the whole world, the environment, the universe. What is it that you're really proud about, you know? And because he did not, or he or she did not have this idea of impermanence, everything is impermanence, why attach to it? So that at that part is the right attitude, rather in the right from the beginning. One did not have the right understanding about the teaching of the Buddha. Everything is impermanent. So what is it that you are so proud of? You just hold on to a small things, right? So you could understand that. Then every time when you feel like you're great, you're like the whole universe, just let go of that. That is not the right view. Okay.
Okay.